So Russell, my friend Russell and I are going to be doing selfies, portraits, and I'm going to try to learn how to do them, God damn it. And there's no better person to experiment on than you are yourself. And I am not good at selfies. I just don't know how to do them. I don't know how. I'm not a portrait person, and I want to learn how to do it before I die. And I have a feeling that I'll die faster than I'll learn how to do portraits. There's rules, you know, you're taught rules on how to do portraits. And I know some of the rules. Your head is sort of oval, halfway between the top of your head and your chin, or in my case, the uppermost of my chins, or my chins. But this chin they're talking about, between here and here, is supposed to be where your eyes are. Russell is now here. And he'll join us in. And then, so there's where your eyes are. And then halfway between this line and this line is where your mouth is, maybe, give or take. Or is it the bottom of your mouth? I don't even know how this goes anymore. And how many eyeballs wide is your head? Of course, this is not a hard and fast rule. Some people have big round fat heads, and it doesn't mean their eyeballs are extra fat. Some people's eyes are closer together than others. Some, you know, but there is sort of a general rule in many of these rules are relatively good and correct. Oh, you've started already.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you yet, but maybe it's because my volume isn't up. Let me turn my volume up.
What's
Hello,
that?
can you? I can hear you now, I think.
Okay.
So
For some reason.
So I have a hard time with portraits, and it's fear of looking into someone's eyes, you know, directly, and having them look back, and their eyes have these. I think everyone's eyes have X-ray vision except for mine, so they see all of my dark, deep secrets. So I try not to make eye contact. So I'm not good at describing faces. I would be horrible if I had to describe to a police artist who robbed the bank. You know, I just wouldn't know the words to use. Was there were their lips thin or were they fat? Were their eyes brown or were they green? I'm very bad.
Okay, Pierre,
You, on the other hand,
I'm gonna have to pull out and then come back in because for some reason my phone is not using its speaker.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll continue to babble. So I'm thinking that maybe I need to learn how to draw a face one day before I die. And I've had some luck recently in drawing the face, but I draw the face in the same way that I draw anything else. I look at the okay, you're here again.
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. Yay. So I was just describing generally that I don't know the rules of drawing faces, but I draw a face the same way I draw a pickup truck or a mountain range. I look at the thing in front of me and is this bigger than that? Is this to the left of that? Is this, I divide it up into little parts, little planes, little shapes. And when I do it that way, it's okay. It works okay. It may not look like the real person, but neither does my pickup truck look like the pickup truck I'm drawing. You, on the other hand, Mr. Russell, you seem to be very, very good at understanding how to draw faces. And you're able to, that you did a very quick sketch of yourself when you were visiting here. It was a note. Matt said, "Can you give me your street address?" And you drew a perfect drawing of yourself, and it took maybe 43 seconds. You had
So
you remember the drawing?
no, I don't remember very much, honestly.
It was, let me see if I can try to draw it. It was you here with your mouth open and your eyes and a nose, and you were wearing your sort of tam o' shanter hat or whatever that was. You had your oversized burgundy pullover thing that you wear, and you were pointing to the address. And of course, the sleeves on your thing were covering most of your hand. So it looked exactly like you. Everything about it was just perfect. And so I think that you are really good at reducing the complexity of a head and a face and turning it into, I don't want to say a caricature, but I think
Well,
that
it's a caricature in a certain way.
in that case it was sort of, and in some other, I mean, you did a couple of very beautiful portraits. The portraits are beautiful of me, not because I'm beautiful, but you did very lovely drawings of me, and you were able to capture more realistically what my face looks like. The thing you drew, the little cartoony drawing you did of yourself was very cartoony-y. But cartoony-y is, you have to sort of know how to draw real faces before you can draw a good cartoon, I think. So
Yeah,
so you're starting with a big, and I'm looking at I have a iPad that has its camera on looking at me, so I'm essentially looking at a mirror, and you're gonna work from memory,
yeah,
you told me.
basic. Yeah.
Okay. So how do
The
you
reason,
start?
so how do I start? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
You don't
Um,
know. Okay.
yeah, so
I,
the thing is when I was um, learning to draw, I I I drew myself a lot. That's
uh-huh.
partially because I was in high school and partially because I had no friends. So
Okay.
basically, I have a little bit of practice
Drawing.
in paint and drawing faces, and I'm really bad at figuring out how to systematize it.
Okay. Well, I think you draw everything so well, and you can draw many things in so many different styles that I I can't imagine you not having a system in your head.
Yeah, I mean, certainly
Um,
there's got to be some kind of order that goes on. Usually I end up
mm,
starting with the nose or a bold outline of where I want to be at
mhm,
and find the defining features like so.
okay. Well, and you're using your memory, and I'm using this image that I'm seeing on my what I'm choosing sort of, but I'm not doing a very good job of it. I thought I would use a big, wide, fat crayon because it already makes me be bolder and less exact than I might want to be. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking that might help me loosen up my little self. So I'm going to use the side of this crayon to try to do most of the drawing. And then I'm going to go back and try to then figure out how to fix the mess I make. And
one of the things that sort of helps is really just to do like what you said and loosen up and work with the big forms before. I mean, you know this. I know you know this.
well, I know this if I'm drawing a truck or a mountain range and an interior, I always start big and work small. But when I'm drawing a face, I immediately seize up and I end up making an eye and making another eye and making a nose, and I build my picture up like I'm making Mr. Potato Head, and that's I don't do that when I'm building a truck, or drawing a truck or a tree. I work big and go small, where I forget how to draw when I'm drawing a face because I panic,
Right.
and
Why do you
part
think that is?
because I have low self-esteem and I feel that I can't draw it, so I panic. It's just panic. So, but I thought, and then I see people like you and like my friend Tim in my building who do it so very well, and I think, okay, they learned how to do it. I should be able to learn how to do it, and that's the thing that I'm trying to learn how to do here. I I once was drawing a guy in my when I would do my someone once called them boudoir drawings, drawings of exhibitionists that would come all the way to my studio and they would take off their clothes and I would draw them. And that sounds like a pretty good job. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
one guy was lying down on his back and he was on a sort of a raised platform kind of a thing, and his head was sort of at not quite table height, but slightly below a table height. So, and he was on his back, and his head was leaning, was not supported by the table. It was just sort of flopped back. So I started drawing the body. I finished the body, and I drew the head. And because the head was upside down, I didn't fall into the fucking trap that I'm falling in when I am drawing regularly, right
You
side
you
up.
did the Betty Edwards thing.
The Betty Edwards thing. Yeah, the Betty Edwards thing. And this is before Betty Edwards was a thing. But it does work sometimes. I mean, I don't know how you stand on your head and draw a tree. I mean, maybe you're just drawing a picture of a tree. God damn it, look at you. That looks just like you. I could tell that was you immediately.
Well, I have distinguishing features. I have the mustache helps.
You have a mustache and you have a heroic Three Musketeers swashbuckling sort of personality with your hairdo usually, and so that might help a little bit.
And
But it's
plus, I'm
really
just
neat. So and the way you're holding the brush, huh?
like, yeah,
Plus
like
you're what?
that.
You're holding the
I
brush
don't
like
know.
3 miles away from the picture, which makes me think you're not being exact, but of course you're being exact. I mean, you know how to.
No, no. I'm figuring it out as I go along,
You know.
basically. Um,
So does this look at all like me? Kind of. There's a
yeah,
it's
I
this
can see it.
overall there's this overall grayness that defines the me. Um,
See, what it is, you're getting the general forms right now, and as you start to tighten up, as I would say, to
yeah,
darken up the features that are most distinguishing, it'll start to look more like you.
yeah, or like someone else. If I did the proportions wrong or something. There's this
And
one guy that I've been watching on YouTube, and he's a caricaturist, and he's really really good, and he's really a good teacher, I think. And he also has a really fun sense of humor. He did caricature. One of his lessons was a caricature that he was doing of Benedict Cumberbatch, which of course it's a caricature to begin with. He's a living, I mean, he came out of the womb already looking like a caricature, don't you think?
if I could
He
recall who Benedict
he,
Cumberbatch
he played
was,
he played the new Sherlock Holmes. He's very angular, uh,
right? Yeah, now I know who
and
you're talking.
and his everything is either a little bit too big or too long or too short, too put together. So, and he did about 10 different versions of him. All were good, and you could tell that they were all him. uh but in one he exaggerated the cheekbones, and the other one he exaggerated the nose or the eyes or the brow or whatever it was. And but he was able to, in each of these things, he was able to balance balance everything off so that when it was done, it didn't look like a Mr. Potato Head caricature where everything is exaggerated. You have to sort of pick and choose. And when you're drawing a human and you're not exaggerating, you're trying to draw a realistic representation, you still are doing the same thing. You have to exaggerate certain things.
Yeah, otherwise people won't be able to recognize it like instant.
Yeah, you have, and if you're drawing in black and white, you're already simplifying things a lot more. You're already making certain uh, you're editing. There's certain edits that you're doing automatically by drawing it in one color. And um,
Oh, you're definitely getting there. I'm starting to see you really well at
you're
this one.
starting to see me. I put my glasses. My glasses aren't. They're not down far enough. But um, I like what Sargent said about portraits. He said
The
a
a portrait is a painting in which the nose is always wrong.
It's the mouth. There's always something wrong with the mouth. The nose is less offensive than the mouth is. Now I've realized I just made my nose. I'm way off here suddenly. Here I was. I'm moving my mouth down an inch from where it was.
Well, do you know Gilbert Stewart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I always liked about him, or that I really learned, is that um, after watching a lecture, of course, essentially everybody who he paints sort of ends up with his nose.
uh, well, we do the portraits of other people do have some of the self-portrait of the artist in there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, because
Um,
the artist always tends to sort of favor their own features, I think.
or they're just used to them by looking in the mirror, that you automatically, if you have a big nose, that's the norm, and maybe you imagine other people having a big nose. Um, One of the things that this guy also said about, when he's teaching people how to do caricatures, and this is something I'd never thought of before, but it really made sense. He said, you in order to make a caricature of anyone, you have to know the audience that's going to be looking at this, and you have to have an understanding of what the average person in your realm looks like. And he described it slightly better, um, though I'm having a hard. It almost sounded racist in a way, but it sort of
Well,
was
I mean,
based.
I
It was
think
sort
I
of,
get
yeah.
what your guy is getting at here, if
Yeah.
you don't mind me. He's basically saying, like, yeah, certain distinct characteristics are going to show up in certain populations. Is that what he's going for?
Well, he said the first thing you have to sort of understand is what the average face in the population that you are in looks like, and then how different is the face that you're drawing, that you're representing in this caricature, how different is that face from the average? And um, let's say there's a population of people that read the magazine he's illustrating that everyone has big ears. Well, if you make Benedict Cumberbatch's ears big, they may not even recognize them as being made big because everyone
Right.
has big ears. So um, it I don't know. It's just there was an interest. It was just an interesting thing that I had never thought about. Like, why would you have to pay attention to your audience? Um, but when I began to think about it, it made more sense. So, you know, there's one. There's one of me. Let's see if I can do a different one. I'll I'll try. What is this? Is this a Prismacolor pencil? I don't know what color this is. It's gray.
No,
It's my color. It's my color. Okay, I'm going to try to draw this a little differently. I'm trying to be maybe more of a 3/4 view. I like the view that you're choosing for yourself. You're looking up from below,
yeah,
uh, which which is very interesting. It has you again. You've made yourself heroic. Not that you're not heroic, but you've you've picked a point of view that's really interesting that I might not have expected. Um, I hear I'm already fucking up. Um, but I like that
that's
view that you're where you're choosing um, that point of view. And here I'm looking down, kind of.
It's a really well. I mean, honestly, I just went at this sort of at random. So
Yeah.
it's
But oh my God, it's exact. Can you?
what?
I want you to give me. I want you to sell me that portrait that you're doing. I really like
Okay,
it.
but you better pay good for it though.
I will. I'll pay whatever
I don't want
you
none of
got.
that.
I'll just send you a check and you just fill it out to how you want. No, it's really really good, I think. And um, I did
That's
a
what
couple of
happens when you draw nothing but faces for a long time. You end up
yeah
really good at faces and crap at perspective.
yeah. Well, again, I'm trying to learn how to do it, and I've had some good luck. I did. I think I did some rather nice portraits of you.
Yeah,
Um,
you've done some really good portraits that, of me at least, and I know you've
yeah,
done good portraits of other people.
and I there's and it's kind of fun when you get it right, and it's so very bad when you get it wrong. They might
Yeah.
actually like I was drawing Suraj the other day, or trying to, and he turned into a some sort of terrorist.
Oh no.
I'll have to send you the picture. He looked vaguely like either one of the which is one of the two thieves that was crucified along with Christ, the one that
Oh,
didn't repent, or a terrorist. There was this sort of uh, Levantine swarthiness to him, and his beard was had an evilness to it, and it just was a complete failure. And but I'll send it to you. You can see how bad it was. Now, see, I can recognize myself on this. This reminds me very much of a portrait that is hanging in my parents' house of me as a eighth grader or 8-year old or something. There's something that sort of works. I don't know whether anyone would recognize this as me, but I see there's some similarity.
oh, definitely.
But my 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 gray beard and my slightly off gray skin, my gray complexion, it all blends into one. And of course, using a gray pencil is is part of it, part of the grayness.
Let's see.
When
Uh,
you draw faces, do you do you do you plan generally on having a three-quarter view, or a full-on frontal, or some other thing?
it kind of depends. Like when I'm drawing my own face, um, usually I only these days draw it just because like there will be a certain light in the room and I'm like, oh, I better catch that before that goes away.
Yeah.
And that's about it. So usually it depends on what looks best in the light. If I'm drawing somebody else, then it depends on their personality. Like
Okay.
you don't draw somebody who's timid from like frontal position, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but
Yeah.
it's better to, if you want to show that they're timid or something, then probably it's better to show them from looking like slightly turned away, perhaps.
Uh-huh. Here I made myself look quite a bit younger. I don't know how. Maybe my hair looks more. I have more hair in this drawing than I do in my actual. Let's see. I'll try a gray piece of paper with white. Drawing with white on dark. I can do it with figure drawings really well. I know how that works, but drawing the face that way, I haven't figured out how to make that work yet. And again, because I keep wanting to make the eyes dark, and I do it with the white pencil, and then it looks awful.
Hmm. See, that's basically what I end up doing whenever I'm painting, basically. Working from, as you just saw, a colored start, and then
Uh-huh.
and then moving from there. Because I it's very difficult, I find, for me to get started when I don't have any base.
Yeah, I don't remember who I was talking to recently, but it was one of the urban sketchers, and he he's using toned paper, like tan paper, and a piece of white paper is so white. It is so white.
Oh
It
yeah,
is so empty,
it's the
and
void.
it's, you have to violate the paper's purity to even begin a drawing, and it's like, oh God, I don't want to have that responsibility.
I don't want to deflower this paper.
Deflower, yes, I don't want to be the person in charge of the paper losing its virginity. Um,
But you have to in order for some baby drawing to be born.
you do have to start with that, yes. You
And
can't.
sometimes they come out malformed, and you just
Yep.
have to accept that.
You bring them right down to the adoption agency and let someone else take care of it. So if you see the light in your room hitting your face in just the right way, you must be looking into and then painting from a mirror, I would think.
Usually, yeah, there's a mirror in my bedroom. Right now, as you know, I'm
You're
just
in the base.
yeah, I'm just
You're
doing it from imagination. But yeah, there's a mirror in my bedroom, or honestly, sometimes it's in the bathroom, even.
okay.
You know, me at my best moments,
Yes.
at my most productive.
God. Oh, see here, I'm having a problem with my eyes. I'm drawing. Where's my? I need a black, violet blue. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram who there was an article about him in the New Yorker recently, uh, where it was discussing how he is conveying or drawing portraits of his boyfriend uh, as a statement of his love, I guess. Or I don't know how it was. The word love was in there, so of course I tried to ignore it, but
Right.
all that mushy stuff, you know. And he's generally a sculptor, and he does these portraits of his boyfriend plus of other people. And I think his name on Instagram is Wilfred the Sculptor. I'll see if I can find him. And he sort of has these pictures that look a little bit like um, Alice Neal.
Oh,
If you took Alice Neal as a starting point and then added a little bit of Miro sometimes, or de Kooning sometimes, or let me see, Wilfred. No, that's not him. William. Damn. I'll try to find him here. Sculptor.
well,
Wood sculpture. God damn it. Maybe his name is Wood. Maybe that's it. Maybe wood working, wood furniture. I don't want that. I want people. How do I find people?
let me ask you something.
Yeah,
How much have you worked with oil painting at all?
Wilfred Wood Sculptor. Okay, I found him. So, for example, oil painting, not in a long time. So, here you go. Here's the people, and there's the portrait.
Oh, that's interesting.
And here's the people, and here's the portrait.
I don't know how to feel about that.
You don't? You're not sure? You're not sure
Yeah,
that
I can tell he has ability, but I guess I just don't jive with
his
his
aesthetic.
aesthetic sense. Maybe.
What about his sculptures?
Oh, now I can see where his paintings come from. His sculptures are fabulous.
Okay,
Like because you know,
here's
something I'm
another.
noticing is okay. That's a nice one. I like that
Yeah,
one.
I mean there are some that are vaguely caricature-y and fun.
See,
Like this one is really fun, I think.
but what I was thinking is, those sculptures had a meatiness to them that those paintings just didn't have because they were so smooth and slicked out
Yeah,
almost. You know what I
I mean I think these are all of the same guy. So he he's able to draw realistically if he wants to, but he is able to sort of make a little detour. And like, here's another one. These are all the same guy who's like he's a heart attack is right waiting for him.
Oh,
Like in a, no,
geez, you're right.
so anyway, what were you saying? You were gonna say
Oh,
something.
I was asking you mainly
Oh, about how
how much
when I
paintings and
oils.
everything done in the past,
Uh,
and
I
whether
haven't.
you liked it all.
I I I I really I thought I was good at it, but I wasn't. It turns out, and uh, my colors would get very muddy very quickly, and consequently, I'm too impatient. I, mix colors with the paintbrush on the palette rather than
Oh, that's
mix it with the.
exactly what
Well, I know that but you don't fuck up like I did. I,
the trick is just to pretend like you didn't fuck up.
oh, I see. I see. Okay, I'll remember that next time.
But also, I use you'll notice I'm using like the bristly brush with just like tiny amounts of oil on them. That's because I know if I load up the brush without knowing what I'm doing, and I very rarely know exactly what I'm doing, I am going to fuck up.
Well, that portrait you were doing of your father looks like you had a gallon of paint on the end of your brush on each brush stroke. It looked very wet and brushy.
See, it looks like that, but it's actually very thinned out paint. Uh, if you were
Okay,
to get it,
but it looks
what's
like there
that?
was a single brush stroke that made that big thing line that looks like a single brush stroke. You didn't peck at it. You just went, didn't you?
Mm, I mean, it might. Um, like, what do you mean?
Well, it looked like if there was a horizontal line in your dad's forehead that was this long, and it started here and went to there. It looks like you did that in one stroke, you know, and it looked like it was done quickly rather than painfully slow or anything. And I
No, it
mean, when you,
wasn't particularly slow, but it was always going at it like in bits and starts and
I
stops.
see. Okay.
One of the things I did do though was I I tried to use the biggest brush I could for the longest possible time.
Mm-hmm.
So that just forces you to work with what you got essentially.
I've moved my camera a little bit, so I'm trying to see if this is going to make any difference.
But it always takes me a certain amount of time to work out exactly where I'm at. That's why
Uh,
I can't. That's why I can't toss off drawings quite as easily as you can.
uh,
I have no sense of direction. I need to feel around.
well, I might beg to differ with something you just said, but I'm not going to pick a fight now. But um,
But
oh, I'm sorry. I'm. Um, you do draw a lot, and you draw fast as well, and sometimes you draw more methodically and plan things out a little bit more, like with your graveyard series. But um, I think I think generally when I've seen you draw relatively quickly and with some wild abandonness implied, if not actually present.
yeah, I suppose so. Maybe it just doesn't feel wild and abandoning to me because I'm already wild and abandoned to begin with.
That might be true. Okay, now I think I need to cut off my beard before I try another self portrait.
That way you can see more of you.
That way I can there the gray is less. There's only my skin is gray. Then I don't have to worry about my beard being gray on top of it. As I was mentioning to you before, it's, you know, when I was describing my friend Trister, who draws muscled, furry, tattooed torsos with shadows and highlights, and he draws all of those different textures and values sort of the same way. He treats them the same way, and you would think that you wouldn't be able to understand what the hell you were looking at, but they work really well, I think. And um,
I
with
always
this,
admire people who are able to treat the surface in just one way and make it work.
uh-huh.
Like they figure out just one trick and then they make turn that trick into every other trick in the book. It's sort of like seeing in any painting, like looking at it close up and seeing, hold on, they're using the same gray on this person's skin, for example, that they're using for this stone chair in the background.
Uh-huh.
That's always fun to notice.
Yeah. Well, the favorite part of this drawing was the light hitting the upper eyelid here,
Oh yeah.
the way, but now, of course, that's the only part of the drawing I like. Everything else sucks. But
I don't think so. See, you have the same symptom that we all have, is that you're very hard on yourself.
I am. It's, I look like there's a Ernest Hemingway look that I'm giving myself here by mistake.
You mean you look drunk?
I look drunk and
Drunk and misogynistic.
misogynistic and suicidal and uh, hot and wearing Bermuda shorts.
He's one of those people that I guess was probably just terminally overheated
Yes.
in all senses of the word. Let's see if I can't get this to as a bit of a fun. Yeah. So, well, I got an email today. Apparently, I I got accepted into American University.
And where is that?
That's in Washington D.C.
Oh, okay. And what did you get accepted to do?
Their Department of Art History uh, program.
I have to show you this. I don't have to, but I am going to show you this. See this piece of paper?
Mm-hmm.
It's one piece of paper that looks sort of like charcoal paper, and here's what the other side looks like. It's two tones. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
This is paper that I got from someone in the building who was a graphic designer and a publisher of pamphlets and books. So this is somehow meant to be this way and I think it's two pieces of paper that are somehow sandwiched together. Um, so art history, you said? I'm sorry, I was
Yeah, I got accepted into their art history program.
for a doctorate.
No, for a master's.
Oh, for a master's. Okay.
Yeah,
And are you going to take advantage of their offer?
I might. It just depends on like what the other schools say. It's just going to be a matter of figuring out like what's the best place to go to, I guess. But at least I know one of the places is willing to accept.
Oh, good. Well, congratulations. And um, I like what JFK said about Washington, D.C. I'll see if I can, before I quote it, let me get the words in my head all figured out. Um, it has the efficiency of the South and the charm of the North. So,
Very, 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 very good.
isn't that great? Why couldn't he
Yes.
be president? You know, even with his head ha- half missing on the back of the fucking car, he'd be better than the last one we had, and might even
I'd
be
say I'd say that's probably true.
and might even be better than the one we have now. But God, I mean, someone that actually can come up with a sentence that has
That doesn't have the word
humor
really big. That doesn't have really big in it.
and bigness and hugeness in it, and is funny and truthful in its funniness, you know, and there's this big shadow right here that's caused by my glasses and also my part of my facial structure, whatever that line is that goes from your nose to the side of your mouth, whatever that line is. Imagine there's a term for that.
There's a term for that, but I don't know. Uh,
The jowl bookend or the cheek divide or
the
the
cheek divide sounds like some kind of thriller novel.
yes. The next installment of The Cheek Divide is now out on audiobooks. Kindle. Go to Kindle for your next
Kindle or something. I don't
or
care.
something for your next Cheek Divide episode.
Cheek divide 2. Turn the other one.
Turn the other one. Yes. You've got one left. You've got one left. Turn it. When you started your painting, I read your mouth area. The dark
Mm-hmm.
mouth area is the shadow under your lower lip initially when it was just being started out,
Right.
and that was a it was interesting watching you change it as you I had to get my head wrapped around that because my I kept on wanting to not see the mouth, I guess, being open. You've added some teeth.
You know I have a thing with teeth.
Well, I do.
There we are. Nice glittering teeth.
I know
Uh,
you just used titanium white there on a big wet
yeah, it's just
brush.
a bit of titanium white. Um, But yeah, I just wanted to get a portrait of myself with some really excellent teeth. And I could have done that one of two ways. They could have either been in my mouth or they could
Or
have been on the table beside me.
in a jar with Pepsodent or with Polygrip or whatever it was, whatever whatever you're supposed to use to clean your dentures.
I have no idea, but I will probably find out someday.
In our the BBX is our building's swap shop, brick bottom exchange we call it, and there's all sorts of fun things in there. There's good books, there's art supplies, there's lots of lamps. I've gotten a lot of lamps from there. But someone, and I don't know who, you don't have to say that you were the one that was donating this to the community, but someone had put combs uh, for body crabs, but
Oh,
sexually transmitted
right.
human lice, and there was a package of 2 combs, and later on in the day there was only 1 comb left. so, so maybe someone thought, well, I don't need 2. I'll let someone else in the in the building
Somebody
that's
else in this building will surely have need of this.
God. But I thought, Jesus Christ, it's like leaving a toothbrush, a used toothbrush in the BBX, you know.
And then somebody taking it.
And then and then somebody taking it and using it. Okay, well, so far the first one I did was the best of them all. But what happened to my
Ah,
I love that Francis Bacon mouth you've given yourself.
yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I was in the mood for bacon.
I love the dexterity that you painters have, where you hold the brush a foot away from the end of it. And I think I do that when I'm painting, but when I'm drawing, my hand is right up there at the tip of the pen.
Well,
And
it's
I
a
think,
different dynamic,
yeah,
when you're painting, it's like, how am I supposed to get a vantage point? Uh, if I'm up close to the painting and breathing in fumes. I
well,
mean, for what thing? First thing, I'm not going to be able to figure out what I'm doing. Second thing, I'm also going to die because of the fumes.
yes. Well, that's all very true.
Okay.
Um, my favorite artist, of course, Sargent. Sargent. My favorite artist, Steinberg.
Mhm.
He's shown. There's a video of him drawing, and he's holding his dip pen way, way far back, like this far back, and drawing and dipping and drawing.
That would be very difficult because a dip pen will just crack like nothing. I know. I've broken enough dip pens in my life.
Well, I will I will find that video and you can see and it's I don't know what sort of, it's not a croquill point he has, but he has some sort of a point that is relatively fine, and it holds a lot of ink. That he doesn't dip it very much, but he's making these lines that go all over the place, and he is very successful. My eyeballs are right, almost bisected by the rims of my glasses here. But he's holding it way back here, and it allows him to see the entire drawing a lot better by holding it back there. But you would think his control would be compromised, but
Some people manage to do some crazy things.
I don't know if I had shown you my dad when he went to Paris one year for his business. He brought me back a Parisian paintbrush, and it was two of them. One was sort of a flat, and one was a round, but they were 3 feet long. And then,
Oh, geez.
so it was a
I
paintbrush,
want to,
huh?
I want to brush. I want to paintbrush like that one day. I don't know if I'd ever be able to use it, but I just want it to have a 3 foot long paintbrush.
Well, I think you could easily have one made, or you could probably order one online. They must make them because the idea is really good. You know, that you have a paintbrush that allows you to be far
Just
enough
step
away from the
back.
painting to make even just for uh, even if it's just for mapping out a full figure, life-size figure. Imagine that Sargent must have had a brush like that, or just to
I'm certain he did. Like, I mean, if nothing else, it would just be
for
for
show.
working on those large paintings.
Yeah, or for just to show off to his. My paintbrush is bigger than yours. No, I think for mapping out a large painting where you, especially the ones where he's doing painting the daughter and the mother are sitting on the couch with their big fancy dresses, and like he I would think he would have to lay it out like that with a brush. So let me just do a search for long paintbrush, long handle paint brush, artist, handle artist paint brush. Monarch, Winsor & Newton Monarch flat long handle. Well, that doesn't look nearly long enough. Long handle. Aha. Synthetic long handle. These were longer than that, people. I'm going to say long 32-inch. How about that?
That should work.
See if that. Blick Art Materials. Long handle. Well, long handle. What? Long handle size 1. That doesn't help me. Length is 9 millimeters. That's hardly long, dear. That must be the bristles. I'll say 36 inches. We'll make it 36 inches. How about that? Well, here they have a radiator brush. So this is for getting into the cracks and crevices of your radiator. So,
Well, I mean, you could use that for painting, I
I
guess.
suppose so. Winsor Newton, size 6. Only 7 left in stock. Free delivery. Long flat head. Well, it doesn't say. For many years, okay, blah, blah, blah. Monarch brushes have seamless corrosion ferrules, blah, 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 blah. I think you might have to make your own. Find a lumber yard near you.
I'll bet you anything they make brush extenders the way they make pencil extenders.
Let me show you this, the Steinberg. If you look under Saul Steinberg under videos, there's like 3 videos only, and one of them shows him drawing. So here we go. So take a look, Russell.
I'm watching. Oh yeah, he's holding it back there. And the thing is, you know, he's drawing something really, really tiny because that's what he does.
Well, but he draws something really big in a minute. Just watch this, though. Because he's going to go way to the top of the page and all the way down. Amazing. He just so that's this wayward line coming out of the guy's pen.
You
So
almost
anyway,
wouldn't believe it was a pen he was using.
well, he was using a dip pen, but he was holding it like this far back. Time for a nap?
Yeah, probably. I'd say that this one's going about as far as it's going to go.
Well,
I could take
it
it further. I just wanted to
well,
toss one off.
I think that's great. Thank you for doing this with me. It was fun to talk portraiture as well as draw it out and paint it. And let's think of something maybe we can do tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay, see you later.
Yep, I will see you.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.